Hello and welcome to Frank's School. James Burke. I'm going back to James Burke. This is the fourth episode in The Day the Universe Changed, A Matter of Fact, episode 4, and I'm calling what I'm doing my gloss. This would be my the second part of my gloss for that episode. I don't have to say very much here. I can tell you that, and I'd ask you to stop at the 19th minute. And I would ask you now to go to the 35th minute. It is so tempting to just go further. But I think that's a good place to stop. And it's pretty easy watching at this point. And what's coming next is also pretty easy, but I think I just want to separate that out and talk about that separately. This being easy watching, I say, this is the only part really, I think, of this whole documentary or personal view that I used regularly when I was teaching in public schools. It's about Gutenberg and the printing press, and basically all students know about the printing press. Most think it's the printing press. It's actually movable type is what the revolutionary idea was, not so much the press, because the Chinese had that for a long time before that. But anyway, I would show this part to the students. Now, I was teaching 8th grade, and that was, my whole course was a real stretch, I think, for most 8th graders. So I didn't want to go too much, but I thought they could relate to this. Easy watching. Okay, I wanted to say that this phrase, that what Gutenberg did, or it was going to take away that extraordinary memory forever. Well, I beg to differ. I don't, I'm not so sure that that's true. I think it would be quite possible to go back to having that extraordinary memory. I suspect that James Burke never lived as I lived in an underdeveloped country among illiterate people. And I just think if a population were illiterate once again, that memory would come back, and I think that's entirely possible. That it could happen. So I just think that's I don't disagree with very much that he says, but I think that's a bit of an extreme statement there. Well, he's talking about Gutenberg. I think this is a U. It might be an E. Burg is fortress. Berg is mountain. I get those two mixed up. It's so easy, I don't have to explain very much. I do want to point out, though, that you hear a rooster crow. Listen for that. You hear a rooster crow. He puts out a candle, and in comes the sunshine. In comes the light. I'm commenting on the style of this documentary. He talks about standardized typeface, so you could all line it up. Well, that word right there, standardized and standard, I think you can hear it, whether it's intended or not, that it becomes a theme here. And I have issues with that word. It was about the time that in Pennsylvania, when there got to be this big push towards standardizing the education of Pennsylvania, that I began to have some serious issues with the education system in Pennsylvania. Well, the whole homeschooling thing, and what I'm doing is as non-standard as it could be, and what I was doing was non-standard. You know, the problem with standardization is it standardizes. You know, sometimes there's things that are much better than standard, but they get reduced. I don't want to launch into that right now, but just listen for that. You'll hear that word begins to appear. It's the beginning, and I don't think he does quite as much with it as I'm suggesting here. But anyway, he's talking about standardized typeface. I would point out to the students that was the last straw, and that turned the screw on good old-fashioned handwriting. Watch what you're seeing as he's saying that. That's that. I've stopped commenting all the time because that's just his style, and it goes throughout the documentary. And then finally, he refers to a propaganda war with Martin Luther. These are major historical events. Now James Burke is a science historian, which is neat because his take is a little bit different. But I would also call it an ad campaign. Now, all right, that's not very much to say. Enjoy this. Let's see. Oh, I think I was going to tell you that I just take the opportunity to say that pretty soon I'm going to start once again mixing in some other things besides just James Burke. But I think for this week anyway, for the next time it's going to be just James Burke, and then I'll tell you more about that later. So, see you next time.